Hello and welcome to NFT Atlas. Today we've got a great video for you. We're going to be creating a 3D project, a 3D character, a 3D image for your NFT collections or projects, and we're going to be kind of going step by step through all the options to do that. So NFT, I'd say 3D characters are a great trend just now. There's tons of people doing it. They're really successful. They're really unique. They really stand out. This is an example here, of course. Clinton's Nightmare, which you've seen. Metagong's a great example as well of all these King Kong type characters. Hate Prime you've heard of course. Cat blocks. Even NFT worlds, but cat blocks again. Just looking at them, the shape of the image itself isn't totally difficult to do. The cat itself doesn't take too much sculpting to do, but obviously the textures are amazing. They're really unique, and that's what makes them stand up. But the 3D aspect of it is what catches your attention. It is different, and it does look really professional. So today we'll be showing you how to create a 3D character and model. I'm going to be using a program called Blender. Okay, you can get it if you just Google blender.org, go into this website here. There's lots of different options you can choose to create 3D characters. This one is free, so that's why we're using Blender. So it's totally free to create this. There's other programs like 3D Max, I think Cinema 4D and Maya. You can pay for them, but we won't be covering that in this video. Just hit the download tab, download it, and there you go. The character I'm going to be making is a mushroom. So it's always good to get a reference. So if you're just going to go images and kind of pop it in, these are these kind of really cool, quirky looking things. I think I can make a really cool character out of this. So always, going to Google and getting a reference photo, an image of what you've kind of be, just so you can get an idea of the shape of it. So we've got this in mind here. So what I'm going to do is jump into Blender, and this is the default page. So you'll see this when every time you open it up. That cube, we don't want that cube though. We're going to delete everything here. So there's a camera, a light, and of course the cube. We'll highlight that on the right, and let's get rid of that. Delete. Okay, that's it gone. So this is our blank canvas. We're now ready to be Picasso. Create some amazing art. So first of all, let's add in a mesh. So over here we're in the object mode. Different tabs at the top. If you hit mesh, there's lots of different options. I'm going to create a circle to start things off, and here we go. I'm holding them as a mouse just to kind of rotate around. Not much to it though. We're not interested in just this circle. So let's change this. So if I hit tab, I go into the edit mode you see in the top left. You can just of course click down and click edit mode yourself, and that does the job. And we can see now the vertices of the circle. I'm going to now press the F key, and that now fills it in. Okay, we got something. So we can now work from this to create the stalk of our mushroom. What I'm going to do is I'm going to push the 1 key. Okay, and you can see now. I can zoom in. We can see it from this view. Okay, so if we're going to be building up the way, it's quite helpful just to have that. And I'm going to start things by just scaling it down a wee bit. So I've pressed the S button, and now it's getting smaller. Okay, I'm going to make it just a wee bit smaller, and now back into 1. And what I'm going to do is even a wee bit more and move up a wee bit. I'm going to push E. Okay, that's the extrude shortcut key. So there we go. We now can bring this to make a cylinder, and we can make this the size that we wish. I'm going to move it just a wee bit higher here, and click S again, and I can scroll. I can move my mouse, I should say, just to make that any size we wish. I'm going to make it a wee bit thicker here. I'm now going to push the E option again to bring it back up. Okay, and we can move it to about here. Click, and now I'm going to press S again. Okay, we can make this any kind of shape we want. So depending on what you're modelling, you can change the shape. I'm going to make it a wee bit smaller. I'm going to move it up again, scroll it down again. So it's just getting slightly thinner, this stalk, as we go along. You can always come back and change these if you want to. If you have a change of heart and you want to change the size, we can do that. But I'm quite happy with this for now. So that's just kind of got the basis of the stalk here. So I'm quite happy with that. But what we'll do now is obviously going to make the actual head of the mushroom. So we'll just click here, Okay, I'm going to press X again. This time I'm going to move it just a wee bit further down and scale it out the way. Okay, I'm now going to press X again, scale it down a wee bit more, and scale out again. Down again, scale it again once more, and X, and move it back down in itself. Okay, that looks a wee bit funky. Now I'm going to press X again, but this time move it up. I'm going to scale it this way. So before I do that, I'm going to move it up just a wee bit and scale it out. X again, up. X again, up, and now scale in the way. Okay, we're now making the kind of the up part of the loop, and the kind of the head of the mushroom. And X again, E again I should say, and then scale in. E again, and then scale in. So there we go, we've got the general basis of our mushroom shape here. Now this is not perfect, we can alter this and we will. I'm not quite happy with this, but we can see we've got something to work with. Okay, we've got the general shape of your mushroom, which is good. Now if I'm going to edit the shape of this, I'm going to click the option 1. I'm going to say make this stalk a wee bit thinner and maybe make the head a wee bit thicker. And if I go to change the shape, I can just click obviously on the pieces one by one. That'll take too long though, so if I hit Alt and click on the vertex there, you see I've highlighted the full ring of it. Hit 1 again, I'm going to click S and just make that a wee bit smaller. I'm going to do the same for the bottom part there, just make it a wee bit smaller. I'm going to move that down a wee bit. Over here on the left hand side, move that down. And I'm going to alt click here. I'm going to scale this down as well. Okay, just be careful with your mouse movements. And that is, that's looking a bit better. We'll move this down actually. The mushroom's just a wee bit too big for my liking, so we'll scale this all down as we go along. Now I'm going to hit Alt click here again and move this down, hit 1 to get a better view. Let's scale that bad boy down. Okay, so the stalk now is looking a wee bit better, it's a better in size. I think this is, again, these ones are a bit too wide still. So Alt and Shift you can click to at once. Sometimes makes it a bit quicker. You can just now scale that down to the size that you wish. Okay, that looks good to me. I want to get gradually thinner as we work the way to the top. So we've got something to work with here, and that looks better. Now the actual shape of the head here I'm not quite happy with as well, so I'm going to Alt click this side. Okay, maybe move it down a wee bit. Alt click the other side. I'm going to match that so we get that rim to it. I'm going to just maybe move it up a wee bit, just so there's a bit of a bevel to it. You can see there's 2 lines now. Cool, perfect. Now, looking at this, we've got a bit of a mushroom now, which looks better. So I think it's just, the stalks maybe actually a bit too thin, or the top's too heavy. So what I'm going to do is hit the 1 key again, hit Tab, bring this in. I'm going to highlight all of this, and I'm going to move it down. Now you can see when I do that, that doesn't work very good at all. Control Z, and the reason why that is, just to show you, is I've only highlighted the first half. What's going to happen? So how do we stop that? We push this button at the top right corner here, toggle X-ray. Okay, if I go into the wireframe, I click it all again. I've highlighted it all, you can see there. Move the tab, move the mushroom down a wee bit. Yeah, it looks better, doesn't it? Click the X-ray button again so we can see it. Okay, so that looks a bit more comfortable. Looks a bit better for the stalk. It's going to snap. So that looks good. Now, again, the shape of it's not perfect, but we certainly can work with that for now. What we can do now is, if you look at the actual edge of it, it looks quite bumpy. You can see all the kind of corners here and the edges of the shapes. We don't want that. It does not look good. So let's see if we can fix that. So you go into the right hand side, there's an option here to click the modifiers, modify properties, hit add modifier and go to subdivision surface. Oh, that looks better. We can see we've rounded off the shapes there, which looks good. I'm going to now increase the levels to maybe 3, and that's even better. So that's a nice rounded shape. We're happy with that. That looks more like a mushroom didn't before. So that looks great. Go back into edit mode here, and you can play around with all you want just to make sure you're happy with the shape here. But this is a good starting point. I think the inside is a wee bit too curved for my liking, so I might edit that a wee bit, make the edges a wee bit thicker. So once I'm done with that, I'll show you how we can maybe put some colour and some other changes to the mushroom to make it a bit more unique. Okay, cool. I played around with the shape a bit more just to maybe make it a bit better shape, but I'm quite happy with how this looks now. So what I'm going to do is make it a bit more unique. So you can see the stalk's perfectly straight. The head of the actual mushroom is perfectly round. That's not always going to be the case with a mushroom. It's a bit more unique than that. So let's see if we can make it a bit different. So I can go back in my X-ray mode, make sure I highlight it all. For example, for the stalk here, and I can again just use the move tool, move it out a wee bit. Okay. We go to our tab view, edit view. You can see how that looks just a wee bit more unique, a wee bit different, which I'm happy with. We can go now to do the same for the actual top of the mushroom itself. So we can go back into the edit mode here, and we can even click some of the faces. So go up top left corner, away from the vertices, click here. You can click a face, and we can move this out. We can use the arrow keys, the kind of the widget options here, or you can hit and hold G, and that pulls it out as well. You can see we can just make some different shapes there, just to make it a bit more unique and a bit more bumpy. So for example, highlight some, pull them down, looks good. Highlight here, pull it up a wee bit, just to make some irregularities to the, a wee bit too sharp there, so just a wee bit, some irregularities to the perfect roundness of it. We don't want that to be perfectly round. We can even bring some of the faces here down. Okay, cool. So we got the basis of the mushroom here. We've definitely made it a bit more randomised, a bit more unique. So that's what we're aiming for. So we're happy with that. Again, this is a mushroom, nothing characteristic about it. So we can always add eyes to make that a bit more unique. So go back to the object mode we're in, hit the add button, go to mesh and hit UV sphere. Created a new sphere, it's big, hit 1, hit S, scale back down, move it back up to where we want it to be. Now this is going to be the eye, so let's position it about here. Okay, go back to this view, it's in the middle of it, we can just move it back out, and there we go, we've got one eye. Now when we come to actual colourize and paint the actual eyeball, we do want it to be certainly orientated towards us in a certain way. So if I hit rotate, and now hit shift X, we can rotate it on the Y axis, and now the top of the circles here, so you can see that circle here, which is what we want. So I hit edit view, maybe scroll in, we can see these rings of circles looping out, so we do want it to be at that orientation. Now we've got one circle. If we now go into modifier and hit mirror, on the right hand side, mirror object, we can mirror along this axis on the other side. So there we go, we hit drop a tool onto the mushroom here, and we've now got a duplicate. So I can move this out, and that will mirror what we're doing. So it's quite cool. We've got one eye half out, one eye half in. So that's the one thing with mirror. For a shape this mushroom isn't symmetrical. So when we are moving, we are creating this sphere to be symmetrical, then it does look a bit unusual, but I like that. That's the character of it. So I might make it a wee bit more out there. I don't mind it kind of hovering. Go back into one view. Oh wow, He does look funky. Maybe move it down a wee bit. Cool. Here we go. So we got the basis of our character. We can now add a plane. To rotate it, Shift R, and then 90. Oh, rotate, hit R, and then Shift X, 90, bring it up. Okay, now just going to move it up a wee bit. I think I must have duplicated it at one point. Now we'll set the scale option, bring it down. I'm going to move it in on itself. Okay. Add solidify. Gives us a bit of depth now to it. Okay, I'm going to now add a bevel. You can see what it does to the edges, it just makes it a bit more beveled, a bit more smoother. Okay, so we've got one eyebrow. Again, what we can do is add the duplicate modifier onto this one, not to duplicate the mirror, and do the exact same idea. We can scroll down, hit the dropper, click the circle, and bang. So perfect, we've got the basis of the our model now. We've got our funky looking mushroom. We can add a bit more personality to it as we go along. We can even add arms if we wanted, and then take it from there. But what we'll do now is we'll see the next one, guys, where we'll be able to add some colour to this guy. Cheers, guys, have a good one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.